Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bookish. I'm so happy to be back. Took a 2-week break. First week was due to personal reasons. Next week was due to the election. So I hope you guys all had an amazing past 2 weeks. I know that the election, at least for me, completely just took my brain for a whirlwind. That's kind of like all I was thinking about for a hot minute, but we're back. I have been also super swamped with school. It is getting close to fall break, and then right after that is, if you're a college student or ever was in college, you know that the dreadful final season just feels like just a hit after hit after hit. But we're here, and we're going to talk about a very exciting topic. Drumroll, please. The Hunger Games. Yes. The Hunger Games. I actually was planning on talking about something completely different this week. I had 2 weeks to kind of think about what I wanted to talk about, and I last minute, due to this awful reading slump that I'm in, I was still in one. It was so bad, but I decided the way I was going to get out of it was by going back to a tried and true, which for me is The Hunger Games. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite book of all time. It is so incredibly important to me, and I have just loved and learned to love this book so much. I've reread it so many times, and it's a pretty quick read. So I brought all three of those books home. I did not bring the prequel back because I didn't feel like rereading that. I just wanted to reread the core books. But I'm going to talk about every book. I'm going to talk about Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay. I'm going to talk about the movies. I'm going to talk about the new book that's coming out called Sunrise at the Reaping. I'm going to talk about some theories. I'm going to talk about so many fun things. We're going to take a little quiz together. And yeah, we're going to have some fun today. So before I get into any of that, the drink of the episode, I'm going to get made fun of for this, but please just hold your booze. I'm drinking milk. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a milk hater. I can just drink milk straight, and it's such a great source of protein. Sorry, guys. The almond mom in me just has to drink a glass of milk. I usually drink it in my coffee, which I did this morning, and normally I'm not just going to pour myself a glass of milk, but I was thinking about if I wanted hot chocolate or if I wanted tea or coffee or something, and I was like, I just want like a drink that's going to give me some sustenance. And I originally was going to drink this cup of milk with a red velvet cake pop that I made yesterday, which I will tell you the story about that debacle in a second. But then I took a bite and I was like, I'm okay. A little too sweet. But I do have to share a funny story before I get into the Hunger Games conversation. So as some of you may know, I do have a cat. His name is Blue. He's 3 months old. He's a little baby, but he is conniving. I think in another life, he was secretly like some sort of devil worshiper or something awful. Love him, but he is insane. And he loves when we ridicule him. Like when we're yelling at him, he loves it. It like fuels him. It fuels him. So there really is no winning with him. And so he's so sweet. Don't get me wrong. Love him. He's great. Little crazy. He acts like a dog and a cat combined, which take that with what you will. I love dogs. My roommate loves cats. So it's a combination for us. Anyways, if you're wondering where he is right now, he's outside of my room because if he was in my room, he would be trying to drink this milk and it's not lactose free. So unfortunately for him, it's not going to work. And also if he was here, he would be talking to you guys. This would no longer be a conversation between us. This would be his chance to shine. But anyways, yesterday was my really great friend's 21st birthday. And so I decided I was going to make her a red velvet cake with cream cheese frosting, all homemade. I went to the store. I picked up everything I could ever need for some red velvet cake. And if you've ever made red velvet cake, you know that it's essentially sort of like you're making chocolate cake, but then you also have like that, you have to get vinegar and baking soda to get that sort of velvet texture. So it's not complex, but it's a little bit different than a regular cake. So I go grocery shopping. I come back. I'm I'm doing everything I need to do to make this cake perfect. I I made 2 layers, so I made 1 layer of a round, 1 layer of a round. I made homemade cream cheese frosting. I crumb coat the first layer. I'm waiting for the second layer to dry. It's looking great. I'm gonna add a picture if I could. I'm gonna add a picture. Hold on. Of what this first crumb layer looked like. It was doing the dang thing. It was doing the dang thing. It was, hold on, I need to find this picture. Okay, here it is. Let's see if I can add it. Oh, is it not gonna? Hi, can you please? I'm trying to show a picture. Okay. I feel like an old person right now. Do you ever feel like that? Like where you're just like, I should know what I'm doing, but I'm not there. I'm just not there. Copy. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Hold on. Let's see. Recent? No. Well, I had this beautiful cake layer done. And I was so proud of it. It tasted so good. I had like extra like from like leveling the cake, I had extra and I tried it. It was not too sweet. It was great. I don't usually love red velvet, but it was pretty good. But it's what she requested. So I'm waiting for this second layer to cool so that way I can put it on top of the cake, crumb coat it, and then my other friend was going to come over and decorate the cake. So I come in my room, my roommate is in the kitchen doing her thing, and the plate of cakes are on the counter. I'm on my phone. I have a timer. I'm going to go back in like 30 minutes to check on the cakes, make sure they're cool, and then go finish my crumb coat. And all I hear is a scream from the kitchen. And I walk out, and my roommate has half of the cake in her hand. My cat is on the floor by the cake, which is on the floor. Blue, my cat, jumped up onto the counter, knocked the cake off the counter. It flipped and fell flat on our kitchen rug. And said cake was obviously ruined. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know whether to cry, laugh, scream. We put Blue in the bathroom so he could think about his actions, and then we proceeded to have a little freak out. But then, fortunately, I didn't put the other cake layer on yet, so I had another layer of cake. But the issue was that cake layer had gotten messed up during like when I was taking it out of the pan. So my plan was I was going to like reassemble it and then put it on a layer and then be fine because I would crumb coat it and it would be fine. So I decided with the extra icing I was going to make cake pops. So I'm frantically freaking out. I call my friend that was going to decorate the cake and I'm like, I need help. And it's this whole thing. Ended up being fine. I just felt really bad because I really wanted her to have a pretty birthday cake, but Blue had other plans. It ended up all working out. We did like a chocolate ganache over like a heart-shaped cake pop, and we blew out candles there. It was really cute. But yeah, that is how my night went last night, and it was fine. So that is why I wanted milk, so I could have one of those cake pops, but I just swapped away the red velvet, and now I have this, just a cup of milk. Oh, what a long story to start this episode. All right, well, back to the original plot of the movie. So I started rereading Hunger Games. I finished the Hunger Games just yesterday, I think at like 5 o'clock, like dinner time. And I wanted to annotate it too, because I do have a Notion page. I think I might have shown you guys, I don't know, dedicated to all my 6-star reads, and this is in one of them, and I have yet to like add any quotes because none of my copies are annotated. So here it is. I annotated her. Nothing really crazy because it's just such an easy read. Oh my gosh. But anyways, I want to go into like my annotations and things like that in a minute, but I do want to start off this episode with a little game. I'm going to take which of the Hunger Games characters are you, which feels quite fitting. So if you want to play, it is just called Which of the Hunger Games characters are you by You Quiz. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Let's see. Okay. A lot is happening here right now on my end. My computer just truly is just not wanting to help me today. Okay, here we are. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Perfect. I love when technology agrees with me. All right, if you're just an audio listener, I will do my best to explain exactly what's happening. So, starting off basic, pick a color. So, I'm not going to list all of them because they're basic colors, but I'm going to pick yellow because it is my favorite color. Fun fact. Ooh, okay. Which quote speaks to you the most? Here I am frozen when I deserve to burn. Girls hunger, and we're taught from the moment our brains can take it that there isn't food for all of us. An eye for an eye, and the whole world goes blind. I will not be like a bird bred in a cage, I thought, too dull to fly even when the door stands open. Not every flower belongs in every garden. Roses have both petals and thorns, my dark flower. You needn't believe something weak because it appears delicate. Show the world your bravery. Was it harder to die or harder to be the one who survived? The less you say, the more weight your words will carry. Which of us could say we were more sinned against the sinning? We were so easily manipulated, and confusion made a masterpiece of us. Wow. I guess these are all from the book. I'm excited to reread the rest of them because none of those I'm pretty sure were in the first book. Or if they were, I missed them. But I'm going to say the one that speaks to me the most is an eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind. I think that's a really insightful saying. An eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind. What an insightful saying. Okay, I'm going to pick that one. At the end of Mockingjay, a new idea for the games is proposed, this time only with the capital children, as a way to repay for all the damage and pain brought to it. What would you say to it? Personally, I've always had this stance that I would 100% disagree because it's literally what started the Hunger Games in the first place. Like, the original Hunger Games started because the Capitol wanted to, was mad at the districts for voting, so they were like, this is what you get. So I would disagree. Which of the following emotions, if given a choice, would you rather not feel ever again? Okay, there's pain, guilt, anger, shame, loneliness, disappointment, doubt, sadness, or fear. Oh my gosh, can I just to pick one is kind of like I feel like I want to pick guilt, but I feel like guilt is a good emotion that you grow from. Like, if you can't feel guilty, you can't grow, I feel like. Pain is necessary, anger is necessary, loneliness, disappointment, doubt, sadness, fear. I feel like those are all necessary emotions, I guess, like that, like you grow from. But like shame is also can be like considered guilt. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna put doubt. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put doubt. Pick a painting. Okay, so if you're an audio listener, I don't know how you're gonna see this, but I will try and describe them. So there's a lily pad type beautiful painting. There's a one with like animals and flowers. There's one with just flowers. There's a woman looking regal with some flowers, some swans. Oh, there's a very famous painting of like a woman sitting in a chair, annoyed, and then like three ladies in waiting are there. A girl, I'm assuming brushing or braiding her little sister's hair. Sunrise or sunset, and then a skull. Not gonna pick the skull. Which one is calling to me the most? Ooh, that's kind of difficult because I feel like I don't know. Not the first two of like the lily pad and the animals, and definitely not the skull. I would say not this like sunset sunrise. Not this woman here. I want to say this one of like the flowers, like the blue and yellow flowers. What do you value the most about humans, even if it's not true about you? Okay, their kindness, even towards people who aren't the most deserving, their ability to forgive even when they've been cut deep, their thoughtfulness, how they're willing to go the extra mile for those they love, their loyalty, their ability to be genuinely sincere about what they want or what they think and what they feel, their hopefulness in devastating situations, their courage to face the unknown, their ability to love, their patience when their hearts are filled with expectation and anticipation. I feel like those are all general statements that don't fit with like a lot of people. Like I would say that most people aren't really able to forgive even when they've been cut deep, or like I would say a lot of people are not very loyal. Like it's like, so I'm going to say the one that I feel like is most like replicable for more people, and that's the ability to love. Pick a series quote from the books. Okay. Some walks you have to take alone. Kind people have a way of working their way inside me and rooting there. A need for vengeance can burn long and hot, especially if every glance in a mirror reinforces it. I'm the kind of girl who, when she might actually be of use, would run to stay alive and leave those who couldn't follow to suffer and die. Whoa. I flee what I can't fight, what can only do me harm. What is the worst pain? To me, it's always the pain that is present. The sun persists in rising, so I make myself stand. Wow! What a statement! For there to be betrayal, there would have had to have been trust first. What I need is the dandelion in the spring, the bright yellow that means rebirth instead of destruction, the promise that life can go on, no matter how bad our losses, that it can be good again. Wow, what beautiful quotes. I cannot wait to read the rest of the series because I don't feel like a lot of those were in here. Maybe one, I don't know. I'm going to read what I've highlighted and kind of go through that. But I'm going to say the sun persists in rising, so I make myself stand. That's a pretty beautiful sentiment. Okay, pick a Lana Del Rey song. What a different moment here. There's a lot here. I'm not going to name all of them, but like there's a lot. I don't really listen to a lot of her songs. There's only one here that I know, and that's Happiness is a Butterfly. So I'm going to pick Happiness is a Butterfly, I guess, but I feel like I should also pick I don't really listen to her. Yeah, I think I'm going to, or maybe, I don't know. I'm going to pick Happiness is a Butterfly because I do really like that song. Pick a Taylor Swift. Okay, I love her. Long Live, Wonderland, I Did Something Bad, Sad, Beautiful, Tragic. There's so many. Oh, Innocent. That's a perfect one for the Hunger Games. Innocent. Choose a place to scream. On the top of a roof where it feels like you're screaming at the entire world, on an empty beach, in a car parked in the middle of nowhere, in the woods among the trees, disturbing the noise of the birds, making them fly away, underwater, in your clothes, in a locked place, at night in an empty, poorly lit house with dusty shelves, inside a cave, in an open field. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not really the type of person that like screams just like casually. I'm not like a casual screamer. But I guess I would say somewhere where I wouldn't have anybody, like people couldn't hear. I would say in the car. I feel like I've screamed in a car before, so I'll pick that. How do you rather be perceived by others? So someone generous, independent, beautiful, understanding, respectable, to be trusted, to be envied, lovable, or intelligent. I would say someone genuine, but that's not lovable. Someone beautiful and independent, generous, understanding, respectable, to be trusted, lovable, intelligent. I would say someone to be trusted. I would say that. And lastly, another music question. Pick some lyrics. Oh my gosh. There's a lot, and I'm not going to go through all of them because that's just like a little much, but I don't even know. There's one about birds. Period. All right, who am I? This is like kind of rude. I'm the alcoholic. Hey, Mitch, you're a person who cares a lot for the few people you hold close. While not very good at showing affection, you'd do anything for them. Your words can sometimes be as sharp as a knife, and you'd rather be alone than in a group of people. You may come off as intimidating, but people warm up to you once they get to know you have a great heart. I feel like that's really not that true. But hey, I'll take it. I'm Hamish, guys. I'll take it. If I'm anybody, and I'm going to be so real, if I am anybody in this series, I am PETA. I am PETA. PETA and I relate most to him from anybody in the series. So hope y'all enjoyed that. So I want to talk about the inspiration for the Hunger Games, and like how thought out Suzanne Collins, like how much thought she put into this. So the original inspiration came when she was like watching, like she was channel surfing, and it was during the Iraq War. And so she's like channel surfing between news of the Iraq War and then like people just on a reality TV show. And the images began to blur, quote, began to blur in this very unsettling way, quote. So she has like experience like with losing her father in the Vietnam War. And so like she started gaining this sort of inspiration of this like ruthless government forcing people to fight to death for entertainment due to the combination of this war and then this like reality show. There's also, she talks about how she was inspired by the idea of a cruel punishment where Athens was forced to sacrifice its own children to a beast in a labyrinth, while in the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen volunteers as tribute to save her sister from being sacrificed. So that is sort of like the inspiration for it. But if you didn't know, the names of all of these characters have so much meaning behind them. And I think, honestly, like, it's so amazing how she did this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about all of the names that were used and why they were used. I'll make it very brief so it's not boring. But maybe a slight spoiler if you haven't. I'll try and keep it not spoilery, but I will be revealing names and, like, their meaning. So Coin, who's the president of District 13, it means soul in other European languages, and it has roots meaning kind and loving, which hint at her interest in this, like, she shows this kind and loving pursuit. Beatty is like this like guy who like likes all these nuts and wires, use of energy. Caesar Flickerman. So historically, Julius Caesar has come to represent the power of ancient Rome, and for Katniss, Caesar comes to represent the power of Panem. And his last name Flickerman invokes both the bright but flickering lights of the big city. Let's see, Cinna. So he shares his first name with fellow artist, the poet in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, who is mistaken for another Cinna, a politician who helped kill Caesar. The poet Cinna was subsequently killed by a mob, which is what happens to Katniss's stylist. Snow. So the evil president is named for another Roman, one who was immortalized in the Shakespeare play with the same name. Shakespeare's can I please speak? I can't even speak. Coriolanus supported the power of aristocrats over the common people, which sounds very familiar. And then also just the snow is white and icy cold demeanor. Effie. So the escort for the District 12 tributes has a few names in the baby name pool. So Effie is short for the Greek name Euphemia, which means well-spoken, and which fits. And then her last name, Trinket, does a nod to her attire. It describes a small and or cheap ornament, something that the actress used to emulate her character. We also have Finnick, R.I.P. love him. So Finnick is like finicky, and then O'Dare is like a variation of a Scottish name, which means spear, which he uses a trident. Gale, so Katniss's best friend, is like the name Gale means jovial, which is kind of interesting because Gale is not jovial whatsoever, but He is, because he's extremely brooding. So that one I feel like, I don't know, he's kind of unimportant though. We don't like him. So Hey Mitch Abernathy. It doesn't really say anything. It just says it's an earthy quality, period. Let's see, Katniss. So I feel like her name, so you have Katniss, you have Prim, you have a lot of different earthy names going on in the series. You also have like Lucy Greybird, like so many different earthy names, like a Mockingbird, like so many. I could talk so much about the innuendos with like all of that, but her name is like from the Katniss plant, and it's this constellation of Sagittarius as well. And Everdeen rhymes with evergreen, of course, and Katniss is responsible for those around her year-round. She serves as a leader. Katniss is a as long as you can find yourself. So as long as you can find Katniss the plant, you'll never starve. Like, that's a quote from the first book. Peeta, well, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like he's the boy with the bread and his name's Peeta. So, but there's also a biblical association with it. As like with a lot of these are, like some are related to. And then Primrose is like, she's this pretty flower who like, it's a cure-all for like medicinal. So it's a very pretty, fragile flower that is used for like medicine. Now, if we're talking about the new Ballad of Songbird and Snakes book, I would honestly wager that so much of the book itself has so many, like, I don't know how Suzanne did this, but like rereading The Hunger Games and having already read Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, it's hard to believe that this came out before that. And it's like, there's so many setups to it, like with the Mockingjay and like all these things. And if you've read Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, you know that there's so many innuendos to Katniss, to these songs. Like the songs that Lucy Greybird has like produced are talked about in these books as like these old like songs sang. So I am going to go into the things that I have quoted in this book. When I have not read Catching Fire or Mockingjay again. Like, I haven't reread them yet. But when I do, I will share those quotes as well, even if what we're not talking about in that episode is that. But I'm going to go through them and just kind of discuss some things. So on page 1, I have Prim's face is as fresh as a raindrop, as lovely as the primrose for which she was named. Which makes sense, considering that's, like, exactly what we just discussed. How could I leave Prim, who is the only person in the world I'm certain I love? Which, there's a lot of times in this book where she references Prim as like literally the only reason why she's still alive. And it's so sad knowing the outcome of this entire series and knowing that going into this. I'm not going to spoil. There is a little innuendo referring to Lucy Greybird, who was the first person in District 12 to win. It says, then he reads the list of past District 12 victors. In 74 years, we have had exactly 2. Only one is still alive, which is Lucy Greybird is the one that's not mentioned. If you've not read the book, I won't spoil anything, but that sort of explains that history involving Snow and why this like District 12 victor is completely like nobody really knows anything about this person. Hold on, let's see. Let's see. I honestly have his are as solid and warm as those loaves of bread. Talking about Peeta. Makes sense. His name's literally Peeta. I think also, like, I think it's just funny the way she named him Peeta after bread, and he's the boy with the bread. I have another one. Quote, so do you, and you've had more practice, real practice, he says. You know how to quote. You know how to kill. Not people, I say. How different can it be, really, says Gale grimly. The awful thing is that if I can forget their people, it will be no different at all. Which I think this is the first part where we should have had a suspicion about Gale, because how different can it be, really? What a statement. And like going into the future books and looking back at this is just so like you would say that, Gale. I'm not a big fan of Gale personally. Um, a kind Peeta Malark is far more dangerous to me than an unkind one. Kind people have a way of working their way inside me and rooting there, and I can't let Peeta do this, not where we're going. So I decide from this moment on to have as little as possible to do with the baker's son. Oh, girl, you don't even know what you're going into. All right, so this is where they talk about the use of her name. So she's sitting out by this pond, Katniss. Tall with leaves like arrowheads, blossoms with 3 white petals, I knelt down in the water, my fingers digging into the soft mud, and I pulled up handfuls of the root. Small bluish tubers that don't look like much but boiled or baked are as good as any potato. Katniss, I said aloud. It's the plant I was named for, and I heard my father's voice joking. As long as you can find yourself, you'll never starve. I spent hours stirring up the pond bed with my toes and a stick, gathering the tubers that floated to the top. That night, we feasted on fish and Katniss roots until we were all, for the first time in months, full. Oh, what a beautiful, what a beautiful poetic use of language. I feel like something I didn't notice as a kid. Obviously, you're not going to notice that, but oh my, how despicable we must seem to you. Cinna says that during when he first meets them, and I put on the side the poor and rich divide. Talking about fire. A lot of the things that I highlighted or quoted were just things that were in reference to something that hasn't even happened yet. Let's see. This is page 72. It says, "It didn't show, I tell him. I'm sure no one noticed. I'm sure they didn't notice anything but you. You should wear flames more often," he says. "They suit you." And then he gives me a smile that seems so genuinely sweet, with just the right touch of shyness that unexpected warmth rushes through me. "Don't be so stupid. Peeta is planning how to kill you. He is luring you in to make you easy prey. The more likable he is, the more deadly he is. But because two can play that game, I stand on tippy toes, kiss his cheek right on his bruise." I honestly feel like the love story, if this was in Peeta's perspective, this would be like a friends to lovers, but in Katniss's perspective, it gives so much more rivals to lovers energy. My gosh, I love him. Peeta is my guy. Oh my gosh, such a beautiful prose. Honestly, I can't really think of exactly my favorite character, other than maybe Prim or Peeta. I think I relate most to them if we're talking about anything like that. Okay. I love this quote. Peeta says, "Only I keep wishing I could think of a way to show the Capitol they don't own me, that I'm more than just a piece in their games." Oh my gosh. Yes, Peeta. The poetic prose of Peeta should be studied. I didn't really highlight a lot during the games. I highlighted Gale and Peeta do not coexist together in my thoughts, because they don't. They personally don't. They don't coexist at all in my thoughts. They don't exist on the same plane at all. Okay. Oh my gosh. Rue, who when you ask her what she loves most in the world, replies of all things, music. She opens her mouth and sings a little 4-note run in a sweet, clear voice. "That's how I decided I would trust you. Besides, I have this." She pulls a necklace woven out of some kind of grass from her shirt. On it hangs a roughly carved wooden star, or maybe a flower. It's a good luck charm. Rue's death just ruins me. So Peeta is out there in the woods, wounded badly, but I'm still in the dark on what motivated him to betray the careers, and all I have is just you. Homegirl, you. Sometimes I forget they're 16. I'm like, well, it makes sense that you don't know what you're doing. Oh. And then when Rue's dying and she sings the song by Lucy Greybird, the Deep in the Meadow Under the Willow. So sad. Slowly, as if not to wake her, I lay her head on the ground and release her hand. A baby animal curled up in a nest of netting. It's the Capitol. I hate for doing this. And then decorating her body. It's so sad. Oh my gosh. And then, oh, it's so sad. Like, it's so sad. Now I'm determined to avenge her to make her loss unforgettable, and I can only do that by winning and therefore making myself unforgettable. I feel like there's, after Rue dies, her mind starts to go towards, like, I'm not even doing this for, like, myself, like, for my family, but I'm doing this for her and, like, that short little bond that they created. Oh my gosh. And then they're like get all cute in the cave and stuff. They're so cute. Like when they're dying. They're so cute when they're dying. It's not funny. It's not funny, guys, but I have to joke about it. Okay, let's see. I don't think I have anything else that I really highlighted that I want to share that's like meaningful, but yeah, I read the first book. I'm going to read Catching Fire, which personally is my favorite of the entire series, and it's my favorite movie too. I'm gonna watch the movie tonight. I'm gonna watch. Oh, my encoder doesn't want to work anymore. Oh, okay. Well, oh, I don't know why. Anyways, we're gonna talk a little bit about the new books that came out and the Hunger Games movies and all of those things. So, the new book that came out very abruptly, people were not expecting this. Ballad of Songbird and Snakes follows Coriolanus Snow, who's the president in his time as a mentor in the games, with somebody named Lucy Greybird, who becomes the first, like, victor of the 12th games, or the from District 12 for the Hunger Games. And you like learn so much about why Coriolanus is the way he is, and the innuendos, and why he hates Katniss so much, and all these things, and the Mockingjay, and the symbol, and the singing, and all these things. And there's so many theories, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that people were hating on this book, and I hate that they were hating on it, because it has a poetic prose to it the entire time, while the Hunger Games book don't the entire time, and it's just like, it's just so good. It's like probably, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And like, I annotated so much of that book because it's just absolutely spectacular. So I cannot wait for Sunrise at the Reaping, which is the next prequel book that's coming out. It's about Haymitch, so his games. And so that follows like his time as like in his games. So he was in the 50th Quarter Quell, and in that game it was like double people. So it was like, instead of 24, there was, what is that, 48? So yeah, there was more people and he won it. And I think it's a love story with somebody in the games, but like obviously probably doesn't work out, or so or out of the games, I don't know. There's a love story involved, and I'm so excited because I guess I'm Haymitch now because of that thing I took. So it'd be lovely to know what's going on with that. And that's coming out next in March of 2025, and the movie's already like, they're already working on the movie, because Suzanne Collins works with the movies directly, which you can tell if you've read the books and watched the movies, how similar they are to one another. Lastly, before I really truly talk your ear off about the Hunger Games, I'm going to talk about some from very famous or not famous theories. I know one theory that I think is pretty interesting is like, I'll share it. It's on here. So the one is Tigress being Finnick's stylist and turning against Snow because of Finnick's prostitution. There's oh, now I'm remembering the theory. The theory that Prim's name was pulled from the thing because every single name in there was Prim's, because the Capitol wanted to get revenge on Katniss for continuously going out in the woods, and they found out. And so that theory I feel like is pretty plausible because Prim's name was in it once. Let's see. In Catching Fire, it's Effie that Peeta borrows the tape of previous victors from. In my headcanon, Effie is obsessed with getting her hands on a recording of the 10th games. After the war, she is finally able to do so. Obviously, Maud Ivory is Katniss' paternal grandma. Katniss never meets her, though, because she is executed before Cray becomes head peacekeeper because she wouldn't stop performing forbidden songs, not for money, just spontaneously at gatherings. That's why Katniss' mom gets so pissed when she heard her singing Hanging Tree. Maud Ivory is in the first prequel book. Maud Ivory. Wait, I want a picture of Maud Ivory from. So she's like, yeah, she's this singer, and so it's like, I guess it's not confirmed, but there's an idea of this connection. Interesting. Okay. That the entirety of the 75th games from the Reapings to the arena was rigged, the entire arena being mainly water-based, and the cornucopia on an island seems heavy in favor for the district for tributes, and considering how Snow wanted to continue to have Finnick working for him and prostituting with him. I feel like it was rigged. You find out it's rigged, so I feel like that doesn't have, like, yeah. Let's see more. Snow is a mutation. Snow is horrified when he meets Gaul's mutations. He has a recurring fear that Gaul will drag him to the laboratory and turn him into one of his experiments. So much that every mistake he makes has him assuming he's about to become her next project. He's so terrified of physical experimentation that he doesn't realize how she alters him psychologically. And that tracks because early in the book, Snow reflects on how he often gets so fixated on one threat that he can't see another one coming. Wow, interesting. Okay. I just feel like that's all a very big shift from who we meet at the beginning of the book. He went from being relatively sympathetic towards the tributes at the beginning of the book to being entirely sadistic and calculating. Ooh, interesting. Katniss is related to the Covey, maybe being Maud Ivory's granddaughter or just descended from the others. It would make sense for the Covey lifestyle to be eradicated after only a few generations. I kind of love the idea that Lucy Gray survives and eventually comes back to 12 as Greasy Say. She's a grandmotherly figure to Katniss, and she pops up everywhere throughout the original trilogy. In the Hob, surviving the devastation in 12, leading up to the kitchen in 13. I love the subtle encouragement she gives Katniss throughout the story and says the one to care for her after the war when she basically goes catatonic. I just love the idea that Lucy Gray takes care of Katniss the way no one was able to take care of her after the games, and I think it's beautiful that she would be able to finally heal through caring for Katniss. The thing is, like, she would be dead, right? Wouldn't she be dead? Because if she's, like, she's, like, 16, and it's the 10th Hunger Games, then she would be, like, yes, she would have to be dead. Or just, like, literally 100 years old. Cato and Chloe finding love in the arena? Yeah, 100%. They are surviving civilizations outside of Panem, but due to their own troubles, Panem's nuclear arsenal, they agreed to not interfere with Panem's domestic affairs. Well, you don't know if Lucy Gray survives. This says Lucy Gray survives her final encounter with Snow after spending some time wandering, finds people up north, and spends her remaining days with them. Interesting. Okay. There's a lot of theories here about, like, everything, like, the people involved with the Covey being related to Katniss. I feel like that's an easy way to, like, translate it. I think that would be kind of a good way to do it, but I don't know if they would. I think we would find that out in Sunrise and the Reaping because it's, like, closer to, like, that time where, like, Katniss would be, like, just, like, her parents would just be, like, meeting and stuff like that. But yeah, that is all I have today. I am running out of time, but I really hope you guys enjoyed learning all about the Hunger Games. If you haven't read it yet, please do. It's so great. And I'm going to really lock in and finish the series again because I need to fully get out of this book slump. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Please let me know in the comments of this live stream or on Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, any recommendations, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.